Welcome to Midlife Matters, where we celebrate women's wisdom and wit. I'm Georgianne Lucier, your host, and I'm delighted to introduce today's guests, Paulette Fox and Marchelle Pendelton with OIC of New Britain. Paulette is the executive director, and she's been there many years. And Marchelle is the youth prevention coordinator, and she's also been there at least 15 years. Paulette is an award-winning executive director, and Marchelle belongs to many community organizations and boards, including the Breast Health Initiative. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome.
Okay.
Good evening, Georgie.
Paulette, congrats on another successful at least 10 years since the last time you were on our show here at OIC New Britain, and you've continued to emphasize the importance of collaboration and partnerships as being key to OIC's success.
Absolutely. If you don't collaborate, you will evaporate. And I use that phrase because more so today, in the last 5 years, you have to collaborate on grants, on partnerships. You have to be in bed with everybody in your community. It's no longer applying for grants in isolation. You have to be at the table with multiple partners. Capital Workforce Partners, and I have been a partner now for over 41 years. The United Way and I have been partners since 2001. The school district is 41 years. I've been a partner with them. The New Britain Chamber of Commerce is a partner. The police department, fire department, and of course the city of New Britain. And I can go on with all of the nonprofits. We gather together once a month, and we have a local prevention council where everybody in New Britain is a member. So collaboration and partnership is critical.
And what do you see as the big picture as we look forward for OIC of New Britain in terms of programming, emphasis?
I'm excited because OIC has always been ahead of the curve. And right now we are focusing on career pathways for youth who are entering sixth grade all the way through high school and out of school youth. We want to make sure that youth develop a career pathway when they leave fifth grade. They need to have an idea of what they want to be. And parents need to help us with this. The community needs to help us in the school district because it's doable. By having a lot of partners and collaborating with people, we can put youth in the different departments at the city, the police department, the fire department. We can have them role model as teachers to see what a teacher's day is actually like. Mm-hmm. So we have the opportunity to really be real creative in New Britain, and I'm excited about that.
Terrific. So I've always thought of OIC as being a forward-moving workforce development. Are there other auxiliary programs, or is it largely?
It's largely workforce development and education. And now we're looking at the different opportunities that our youth can go into, especially at New Britain High School with the academies. And my favorite one has always been the Allied Health Academy up there because there's such a great need. I'm in that age group where we are going to need certified nurses assistants, licensed practical nurses, RNs. We are going to need an array of people in the allied health field. Great opportunities for youth.
And that's where I first met you, actually, through Maria.
Yes.
In my involvement with the board of the Hospital for Special Care, they were a partner in that program.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Again, a number of years ago, and having all those work experiences, and whether they work in the summer, after school, part of the school curriculum.
Absolutely. We placed a lot of the high school students who were in the wonderful program at New Britain High School at Hospital for Special Care. And we also work with the dietary department. My goal is to get back with Hospital for Special Care and Hartford Healthcare, but the laws have changed a lot since COVID, so there's a lot of things that hospitals can and cannot do anymore, but we're working on it.
Well, then they better be ready because you're
right.
on it. Okay. So, Marchelle, again, you're the Youth Prevention Coordinator.
Yes.
Tell us about summer high school program and the competency areas that it focuses on.
I run the Summer Youth Employment and Learning Program. It's a 5-week program, which has been cut down, unfortunately, over the years. We focus lists 5 fundamental competencies that we need to work on. Those being communication, financial literacy, professionalism, adaptability, and critical thinking. Definitely over the years, the critical thinking has become a huge disconnect for a lot of our kids. The digital factor, the instantaneous answers, and the frustration is really starting to show in the workplace. Not something I've ever seen before in older youth, but it's definitely coming up the pike now, how quick our youth are to give up if there is not an answer in 5 minutes. And as like, welcome to what work is really going to be like. You're not gonna be a cashier one day and the manager the next day.
Right.
So I think the realistic expectations on pay rates is a really big deal. My kids were making $17 an hour at 14 and 15 last year, which I think for especially my mother's generation is flabbergasting to her. She was making maybe $1.25.
Got that right.
Right. And I still had a kid say to me, why am I not making $25? And I was like, there are adults making the same thing that you're making right now. And he was like, this isn't enough to live on. And I was like, and now welcome to how the world works. You're starting to figure that out. I was like, it's about, you have to manage your money. Just seeing like the disconnect and why that jump for 18 to 25 is so hard. And unfortunately, why that suicide rate is up. We are clearly not preparing people to be realistic adults in the world we live in 2026. And I think we definitely need to do something about that.
And so what type of things do they do in the summer program?
We actually have a various amount of speakers that come in. They go through an entire banking training with Chief Financial comes out, Merrill Lynch, and Bank of America all come out so the kids can see how you bank with different banks, what's the difference with a credit union. I really, really try to emphasize because, our kids are so in the digital media, they see cash and think cash rules. And I'm trying to explain to them credit rules. You can have zero cash, but an amazing credit score. And I was like, and you can get what you want. And so trying to get them to understand that instant validation isn't what's going to buy you a house. That instant validation isn't going to get you that BMW you're talking about. It's like, you want to be 21 driving a BMW, you're going to be living in it.
Yeah.
They have an array of speakers that come in. They actually get a tour of OK Industries. And last year, we were also able to get the hospital to give us a tour, which was very nice. We actually had an array of doctors come and some people from different realms of the hospital. And the kids were like, I didn't even know that was a job in the hospital.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see that as we're looking at the career pathways, kids hear one word, they hear hospital and they think doctor or nurse, not realizing that there are hundreds of people that work in a hospital that are not doctors and nurses, but are still just as critical to a hospital functioning.
Sure.
So I think that's really what we need to work on in school is to stop making it so basic. Kids hear a word and they think it's one underlying thing. And they think I'm going to hate that. But there's so much more that jobs entail than just the one word.
So bringing in role models and people who are actually doing the work,
yes.
Right? So are these people in the summer program, would it be fair to say they're getting paid to learn?
They're getting paid to learn how to navigate when they comes time for a real job. We do resume preparation, cover letters. I actually sit down and do mock interviews because, that's another thing, a skill set that is lacking. Our children have really struggle looking people in the face when they're having a conversation. I was like, you can't sit through an interview and look at the floor the whole time. So, and being confident in what you're saying, I was like, you have to sell yourself the best way you can when you're being interviewed. And a lot of our children are nervous and very anxious when it comes to that. And I was like, it's practice. I was like, you have to look in a mirror, whether you guys have the phone option, you can record yourselves. I found that to be one of the biggest fears of the program is when I had to do mock interviews. And I actually sent them to Miss Fox on purpose. So they had a 1-to-1 interview with Miss Fox for their first job interview. And I was like, but that's really what it's going to be like when you're at these jobs. And I was like, and there might be other people in the room as well. You have to be comfortable. If it's a group interview, there might be 3 candidates in the room at the same time. Some of our kids are very rigid and used to a certain type of schedule, but in the reality of work, there could be a drop in the day and your day changes and this is what has to happen right now and you have to push everything back. So, and that's why I thought the adaptability is it's nice to see that our program is really helping them get the real idea of what working is like.
And that's just the first tier. She's in
Sure.
a tier 1. The other tier is tier 2, which we place youth in the field at a nonprofit.
Okay.
And then tier 3 is those youth who are actually placed at a bank or a business or a hospital or another
City Hall is
nonprofit.
another one.
And they go through, starting with her tier is probably the most important, because if you can't get through tier 1, you'll never get to tier 2 or tier 3.
And I imagine OIC of New Britain has a lot of success stories.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. We've
Yeah.
got probably over 15,000 youth are better off, and now they're adults, because we've been running summer youth employment and training since 1984. We used
Okay.
to serve 1,000 kids. Unfortunately, now we're down to less than 100.
And what are some of the reasons for that?
Funding, and unfortunately for New Britain, unlike Hartford's city puts $1 million into summer youth employment along with the state dollars. Unfortunately, not yet. We haven't finalized stuff yet. We have not done that since probably 1992.
Okay.
Where we were serving a lot of kids. Our goal is to hopefully have our new mayor look at increasing that, because New Britain High School is over 2,000 kids.
Okay.
So by me serving less than 100 kids, that's not even putting a dent into what we need to do.
And we've actually been discussing in partnership with Berlin, who is also having a workforce situation, targeting the businesses to invest in developing their future workforce. You want workers who are going to show up on time, who know the rules, who are going to do the job you ask them to do, who are going to make it through that 90-day training, who are going to stay for the 2 years after you have trained them. You need programs like us to set them up. They're not work ready. You want that to happen, businesses need to invest too. It's all of us together, or we're all going to collapse.
Now, you mentioned Ms. Fox and you mentioned Mom, so it's time to say we have a mother-daughter duo here. And that sets it up perfectly in terms of talking about generational differences.
Yes.
Okay, now, Marshall, tell us what the generations are again.
Well, my mom is a baby boomer.
Yeah.
Between us is Generation X, which
Yep.
would be my sister. I am a millennial. And then we have Gen Z, and I believe we're up to Alpha, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Correct?
All
Yes.
right. So what are some of the generational differences you've seen? I mean, you've been with OIC New Britain for over 40 years, correct? And OIC started about, 55 years ago?
The national office now.
Okay,
So we are 60
wonderful.
years old.
So there's a lot of changes that have occurred during that time. It's always been an emphasis on workforce development and
Always.
education, and it's throughout the country, although those branches
Yes.
aren't necessarily thriving to the extent New Britain's is.
Absolutely.
Right? Skills, you talked a little bit, Marshall, about eye contact and being able to be comfortable with live versus phone.
Right.
Right. Interactions, as well as aptitudes for customer service and any other things that you really think have changed.
The work
what you
ethic.
need to address. Okay,
The work
you
ethic.
can start.
Baby boomers are never give up, 24 hours a day,
That's right.
nonstop. Sacrifice yourself for the job. Millennials realized as we watched our parents, didn't work though. You did all of that, but like, where's the financial setup for you guys? Where was all of the stuff to back you for your old age? You guys gave all that dedication, but what did you get out of it? I saw that our generational difference, we are a little more selfish. We're like, okay, that's great, we'll do this, but what's coming with the bank account? There's a
Yeah.
piggy bank attached so that we can survive. And a lot of us are navigating currently 2 jobs. We have a career field and something else that we're doing on the side to make sure that our finances and stuff are in order. I give Ms. Fox so much credit. You don't find people like this that wake up happy to go to work every day and literally loves every person that goes through the door.
Right.
I have so much respect for her for that, because I can't even pretend that I'm that type of person. I love what I do, but I can't necessarily say I love everyone who walks through the door. And she genuinely does love for people.
So you're a good example of our generation, Paulette. So
Yes,
tell
I
me
am.
what you've observed as far as changes as you've navigated the New Britain organization.
And thank you, Marshall. She did an excellent job in explaining. I find our future workforce, I'm going to call them. You can put them in the boxes. I think the baby boomers is exactly what she says. I work 7 days a week to get the job done. Doesn't matter. You have to either pay a young person They don't like Saturdays and don't even talk about Sunday. And that doesn't mean that they're going to church. They just don't have that. The weekend is theirs. It's not the loyalty or the commitment unless it comes with a dollar sign.
Okay.
I can get them to do whatever if I am going to pay them or negotiate a bargain. I didn't have to do that before. And I do have staff. I'm blessed because OIC has a combination of staff. I have 3 baby boomers. I've got a millennium, and then I've got the Gen X or whatever that other, and then I've got some of the ones that I don't even want to put a
Gen
tag
Z.
on them that they forget to call in sometime, and you're like, excuse me, how did, oh, I forgot. I said, you could have used AI. Now, AI, they don't have an excuse. Somebody needs to call in. And it's like it has no impact. And because we are a workforce, if I'm struggling with this issue, I know that the corporate world is. I know that the school district is. I know other nonprofits. And we've had this discussion with other executive directors. And we have to be flexible. But I will also say this. Once they have the passion, like Marchelle, she is passionate about what she does. She might not like every kid. I love every kid that walks in that door. I see potential. And that could be because I have an education background in teaching. She's like, Mom, I don't know. I see that Miss Fox, this may not be a good fit for the program. And again, after the pandemic, a lot of our kids are struggling in staff with social emotional issues that they don't even realize they're in trauma. So in the last 2 years, we've been bringing in a lot of professionals. I utilize people from the school district, friends of mine, community mental health, Kleinberg. I just got a board member that is a clinical social worker, and she doesn't know what I have in store for her because I want her to do some Saturday training for just the staff so that people can feel comfortable in their own skin, because if you're not comfortable in your own skin, you won't be able to work effectively with the type of clients we deal with.
Sure. And so other than work ethic and some of the social skills that are in days earlier were developed through having your first summer job or whatever, and everything wasn't digital, right?
Right.
So what other kinds of things? Like I know there's been something published that this next generation might be the first one who tests more poorly on cognitive skills than the generation before.
100%.
For a number of reasons now. Some may argue the tests aren't focusing on the things it should be, but what are your thoughts on that?
That is 100% correct. The critical thinking decrease and the solution to solve problems is clear. And I hate to say this, but we can blame No Child Left Behind as one thing because our kids no longer had to earn the right to go to the next grade. And I think that was a huge factor in development. You had to earn your way out of school. That was how you knew you learned. If you didn't learn, you didn't get to go to the next grade because they're stackable skills. So once we started prioritizing pushing kids out of school versus educating them, I think that's where the first downfall started. And I think the other thing is because of the digital, their reality is distorted. They are so desensitized to what it's going to be like when they walk out of that high school and the real doors of the world hit you. And you actually have to provide for yourself, because we all know there's parents who put you out at 18.
Right.
That reality, it doesn't sink in until they're there, and we're struggling so much, and we're seeing that suicide rate increase. Why? Because you did not prepare them to be adults. Yeah. And the reality is, you can have friends, but I don't know any friends that pay your bills, do you?
Right. Well, Paulette, no. Okay. So you're looking to go down as far as 4th grade, which sounds genius, because you do have to shape what people perceive to be making a living, maybe areas they might be interested in. I know I work with some advocacy for the skilled trades, and there aren't even necessarily standard tests people know about to find out, is this person, young person, maybe gifted mechanically and could kind of go in that direction. So I imagine you must have to investigate a lot of other methods for finding out what people are good at, even when they're young, right?
Absolutely.
Their aptitudes.
Absolutely. In the last 10 years, there's a lot of assessments. We use a lot of assessments at OIC because not everybody's going to college. And we knew that probably about 15 years ago. And there is opportunity. I guess for me, when I look at a fourth grader as they are, because kindergarten through third grade, the recess and all that, still acting like kids. But in fourth grade, the exposure to what is out there. And New Britain is small enough to expose fourth and fifth graders to a lot of careers. And I think that we've been remiss not to bring it down to fourth grade. In fifth grade, we do a summer gym program with fifth graders going into sixth grade. And what I found in collecting the data is they don't have a clue. They are traumatized when they hit that middle school. And then you have your wonderful eighth graders that wait for the little sixth graders, and they pick up those behaviors from eighth graders who are not the best role models.
Okay.
So I think that we have to recreate some scenarios for our fourth and fifth graders, put them on a career pathway early, and get them excited about what their future can look like.
Something. I mean, we all know we can have multiple careers, but at least get started with something and have some confidence that you might be good at that.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think the consistency would be the factor. I would really like if OIC could be the first program to transition from elementary through high school graduation. We have successfully proven that our middle school program gets our kids out of high school in 4 years. And a lot of our kids either go straight to work or end up in a secondary school.
Yeah.
But it's a proven fact that using our program, they're benefiting. And middle school is where those choices for high school get made. Whether you study, if you do your homework, who your friends are going to be, if you are going to be in an after-school club, or if you're going to be walking around New Britain. That's why I really want to target that fourth and fifth grade, because if you can set those behaviors for middle school, high school is a breeze for them. They're set to go. They have a focus. They know what credits they need. They know exactly what, when you give kids something to work for that they like, not a problem. It's when you bore them, they're unhappy or miserable in the classes that they have to take, that you get the disconnect.
Yeah.
So we have to find a way to stop keeping that old school general education myth. Like, I hate to say it, I've never used geometry a day in my life.
Well, I would say yes, but someone was saying, I'm so glad I learned about parallels because it helped me with my taxes. No, right? I think the whole using different parts of your brain. And so you don't necessarily see the link, but if you can conquer some of
I was
that.
thinking, but financial literacy that you do need. You do need to know how to make a budget.
Yeah.
You do need to know how to balance your bank account. You
Yeah.
do need to know how to take out a loan.
Right.
Why are those not things that are also part of our curriculum now to be functioning
were taught
adults?
back when you and I were in school, probably a little bit earlier even than us. There was
Absolutely.
home economics, there was woodworking
Industrial
shops,
arts, they
there
call
was-
it.
Yeah.
We had the trades when I went to high school, and I don't have a problem. 1968, that was
Yeah.
a great, all of your 60s. You graduated high school. We did not have a dropout problem. And the data will show that people were not dropping out. And if they did get pregnant, they got married. Or they went away and they came back married. But our point is, I think we are in a situation right now where our educational system is not preparing the workforce. When I graduated, I could have worked at Phoenix, I could have went to college, I could have worked at any of the business. I took the typing and all those wonderful things that helped me in college, but also I was prepared. I had those competencies to be successful. I knew financial management. Our kids right now, I feel for them, but I do blame parents. And I want to develop a program, I hope nobody don't steal my idea, with parents that's calling giving them a reality check. Because you are not your child's friend. My parents were not my friends. I was not Miss Pendelton's friend. I was a parent, and I had rules and regulations that are similar to the workforce. And we got away from that. You know, we started catering to our kids, and I can understand Department of Children and Family kids threatening parents, if you hit me, but they forget you can hit them with an open hand. You just can't leave marks on them. So there's ways to discipline. But I think what scares me is that I hate to see a kindergarten controlling a parent. And if you go in the grocery store, when you see a screaming child hollering at a parent, I said, what's the matter with that picture? I should videotape that. What's wrong with that picture? That didn't happen years ago. So we've got a lot to address, but it's doable. Everything that we've talked about tonight is doable. You need a little funding.
Our education system works now in fear of parent reactions. Instead of teachers being correct and being able to teach, they walk on eggshells because kids film them. Phones shouldn't be allowed in school. That's it. Your child is in school for 8 hours. There's no reason to track them if you drop them off and pick them up. So our parents have gotten kind of disconnected as well, so focused on what the teacher is doing, but really what it is a cover-up for what you're not doing. You want to blame the teacher because you aren't following through at home. A teacher is not fully responsible for your child being able to read. A kid can only do so much in 8 hours. And what else are you doing in those other 8 hours that they're not in that building?
Well, I look forward to seeing that program.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the parent program.
I'm not giving up on it, even if I have to do it pro bono.
All right. All right. I'm with you. Okay. Now, listen, just a little bit about yourself. So as we age, and we've talked about that generation, et cetera, we can reflect. So I would say, Marchelle, as you look at your 25-year-old self, which wasn't that long ago, but a lot of learning in there, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say two things that I can think of. The first one being, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. You will get to where you want to get and get the things that you want at your own time and your own pace. And you shouldn't be judging your life based on other people's lives.
Okay.
And the second being that people are in your life for a reason, a season, or just a guest appearance. Do not cry over every person that walks out. They weren't meant to be there for a long time.
Oh, that's lovely. I hadn't heard that. Thank you. And Paulette, you can pick whatever age
Oh,
you
wow.
want.
Geez, like when you're 75, and I have no problem.
Okay.
I'm glad to be through
Three-quarters of
7
a century.
decades. I think I would tell my younger self at 40 that you're only beginning, and get as many skills that you can. A lot of stuff is free. Go to those Zoom online websites that are free. Education is critical. The more you know, the more you know. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, perfect. Thank you both so much. And please tune in to hear future guests on episodes of Midlife Matters. I'm Georgianne Lucier, your host, and thank you for joining us.